based upon that. But as we've discovered over the last 10 years, the limiting factor is just optics. It could be a high-powered zoom camera. You could have very clear meteorological conditions, and you can see well in extent of the curvature of the Earth.
Mycological?
Yeah, weather.
Meteorological.
So you understand that the atmosphere is opaque.
I thought you said I thought you said mycological. Apologies.
Yeah,
sorry.
No worries, dude. Yeah, no worries. So you know what it's like when it's foggy out, you can't see far. You get clearer conditions, not a lot of particulates in the atmosphere, you see further.
Especially over the ocean where there's a lot of chemical reactions taking place, like evaporation, heat waves, stuff like that. They can mess with the human vision and stuff like that.
Of course.
Fair
100%.
enough.
Yeah, 100%.
Huh.
But remember this. We're making observations over water that if we're on a sphere should be curving. When we observe, like we're doing now, and when we measure, say with technical equipment like lasers, we measure the surface of the Earth to lay horizontal. I mean, shock horror, we all do this every day in construction and engineering, right? When we do several engineering projects on the surface of the Earth, we have to measure. What we do is we measure from a level. That level, that altitude is taken from mean sea level. That's the horizontal reference datum of the Earth. We're told 70% plus of the surface of the Earth is water, but the water is observed and measured and practically used as a horizontal reference datum. So 70% of the surface of the Earth is flat. Can't be a sphere, dude.
But now I apologize once again. I'm not trying to come across as a dickhead or anything, but now obviously if we were a larger, I'd know some sort of, now this is completely theoretical, of course. If we were a larger being or something, if we were to hold the Earth, it would feel smooth, even though it's even though there are obviously lots of curves and bumps, mountains and everything. But if we were large enough, it would be like holding a snooker ball. Like a snooker ball obviously isn't perfect. Microscopically, there's grooves.
Yeah, or running your finger across a table.
Yeah, but we're so large that we don't notice it because it's just...
Excuse me. According to the mathematics, we should see it, we should measure it. The curvature of the Earth rate is 8 inches per mile squared. That means after 1 mile, point B at distance would have gone downwards from horizontal by 8 inches. After 10 miles, it's 66 foot of descent from a horizontal plane. Over 100 miles, the distance from London to Birmingham, there would be 1 mile of elevation drop. Now, we think the Earth is so big and we wouldn't be able to see it. According to the math, yeah, we should. It's curvature. It's a rate of change of slope. There'd be immediate deviation from horizontal, zero change of slope. With the slope-intercept formula, right? So we did this type of stuff in geometry and maths. Straight lines and curved lines are different. When we measure the surface of the Earth at distances up to and including 5,000 miles, we treat the Earth and measure it as long distances as a horizontal plane.
Damn. Well, I apologize. You used a lot of big words there.
So, I apologize, mate.
No, listen, I'm not the smartest. I just like learning, and I apologize if that's frustrating me being
No, you're good. You're good.
Stupid, but
no,
I would like you to repeat that, but in simpler. I'm so sorry. I just have a really hard understanding, especially with ADHD as well. It's just hard for me to keep track of things. But
my son's got ADHD. I get it.
Fair enough. Oh, you're a dad?
Yeah.
Congratulations, mate. Fair enough.
I've been a dad for 15 years now, man. Congratulations along past.
Congratulations 15 years ago, then. So.
Yeah, it does sound very complex because you're being confronted with these terms and these notions
that I've never been confronted with before or anything like that.
You've never been taught before. They don't teach us about this, right? So you've got to kind of just go and teach yourself, especially perspective, right? Very important when we're talking about how we observe the natural world and why we observe it the way we do. which we need to pay close attention to, because we're using observation and measurement and practical methods to determine whether or not this surface is doing what it has to be doing to be this globe that they're telling us about. And it's not. When we actually go out and check, despite what they're showing us on TV and in the textbooks, when we actually go out and check, that curved surface isn't there. And it's the most fundamental premise of the globe. It cannot be a globe if it doesn't have that curved surface. So it's complicated in a lot of ways, but at the same time, you can boil it down to a very simple principle. No curvature, no globe. And then you're kind of left with a whole lot of questions, don't get me wrong, but at least that's where you start.
Okay.
So yeah, if you've got questions, feel free. We're here 24/7. We're on YouTube. We've got a Discord with loads of resources. So if you're interested in studying in your own time, let us know and we'll send you a link to our channel. There's a bunch of guys in the chat now. If you click their names, you'll find 24/7 Flat Earth Discord in their profile. Just join that. There's like terabytes of information. It's like a library for this stuff, because if you go on Google or YouTube and try and type Flat Earth, you're just going to get the same hit piece videos, because the algorithm is censoring it, basically, shadowing it. So it's not easy to find decent information about it unless you happen to stumble across a channel like ours. So I would take advantage if you're interested. And like I say, if you've got questions and you're just like, what about this? What about that? Just chuck them out. Someone here will answer.
Very sneaky promo, by the way. I'm really joking. But no, I'll definitely give us some thought. Like, you have definitely helped me understand it better in that sense, because before I would have just been, flat Earth, fuck yourself.
Yeah, like all of us.
No.
Yeah, like
But
all of
now
us were.
it's now with especially with that oil rig example, I still can't understand that. Like, that's so bizarre. Just now, obviously, it is a photo.
Sorry.
I would like to go and do it myself. Like just from my own perspective.
Yeah, do that.
But with the photo enough, the photo enough is kind of bizarre.
Well, this is just one example,
really
dude.
10 miles out.
Well, this is the thing. This is just one example. People are doing this all across the Earth in different locations, shorelines, oceans, lakes, anywhere there's a big flat body of water. We just go and test how far we can see across it, how far we can shoot lasers across it, and all of it is debunking the globe.
Yeah, so I was going to say, we've only just started. This is just observation. You wait until we start truly measuring with lasers and sending signals like UHF and VHF. When we start targeting with direct line of sight lasers, you think the oil rigs were a bizarre example. You wait.
I mean, I do quite appreciate the fact you're very logical with what you say, instead of getting emotional, which has been most of my experiences with people of the Flat Earth Society, I guess. I don't know. I apologize.
Well, they're just like
that
trolls.
They sound like a cult, to be fair. So.
No. So the Flat Earth Society, that's a good point to bring up, because when I'm talking about YouTube and Google censoring the topic, what they will show you is the Flat Earth Society, because they're like controlled opposition. They're gonna muddy the waters with a bunch of bullshit claims like Australia doesn't exist, to make people who are curious for a second. Yeah, right. So the curious minds who just are like, oh, I'm going to Google Flat Earth and see what this is about. They Google it, then they get shown Flat Earth Society, and they read what's on that website, and they think Flat Earthers are retards. And it's perfect. Think how well that works.
No, let's not use that language. I think it's kind of offensive.
Yeah. Well, whatever. They form incorrect strawman opinion about what Flat Earthers, quote unquote, are actually saying. We're not saying Australia doesn't exist. We're not saying.
Yeah, but I mean, don't you think they're like a little retarded though? Like just a little.
Settle down, dude. Settle down.
Pointing that out.
Yeah, he's being a funny guy. That's all right. This is a serious subject, even though, yeah, at first, if you don't know anything about it, you think it's a joke, like we all did. But no, the Earth directly measures flat, and therefore can't be this cartoon spinning space ball in a vacuum that we've all been shown cartoons of. That's not what it is.
I mean, but technically speaking, like, I understand there's mathematics behind it, but it neither has been correctly proven. So at the moment, it's just kind of like in this limbo.
No, it's been directly. No, there's no limbo. It's been directly falsified by direct measurement of the surface.
Yeah.
The claim.
No, I'm not. I'm not talking. I'm not saying that the Earth is a globe. At the moment,
No, I know, but you're saying it's up in the air. It's like, no, I know. But what you're saying is, and it's a hopeful expression from you, which I understand. You're hoping it's the case that there's some grey area, some wiggle room. We don't actually know. No, it's confirmed.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it. Personally, I'm sure a lot of people would be in my position as well, about being very unsure about the.
Of course, because you've just heard about it now on Discord.
Because once again,
what we're saying is you can go out. You can go out and do it yourself. Of course, you're in this position now.
I thought you were telling me to get out. I was like, what?
No. I'm saying, of course, you feel like this now because you've just been confronted with this on a Discord call, right?
No, yeah, fair enough.
What I'm saying is, what we tell people, and we don't want you to go away from this being like, well, the Earth must be flat. No, we want you just to realize that you need to take control of your own mind again and go and figure this out for yourself without just relying on government space cartoons.
You're from Northern Ireland or Ireland, right? Don't rely on the government, dude. Surely.
Oh well, I mean, yeah, the government is a prick. To be fair, I'm not going to lie, but
there we go.
So just a real quick interruption. I've just started an event, and it's called "Have You Seen the Curvature of the Earth?" So that's why there's a bunch of people rolling in at the moment. Just in case you're wondering why. Okay.
No doubt the vegans will start up soon, or the English will start having a lesson. It always happens as soon as you start running an event.
Oh, yeah, the vegans agreed not to do that, so that's good.
The vegans is it's like
there's no real competition. I mean, even just things like veganism and diets and things.
I do find that a lot, and I like to think I'm a pretty open person. I've actually listened to them. I'm not fully vegan, but I'm vegetarian now. I don't eat meat. But
do you want to give us any thoughts based on what we've been showing you, or do you want us to go and find some new people who think they've seen the curve?
No, I would like to say it is pretty educational. Like, I've definitely learned a good wee bit. Like, I'm not saying that
This is day one.
Oh no, yeah, I'll definitely be back at some point. I'll definitely be back. Like, because I did enjoy the conversation as well. You're just pleasant people to be around, to be fair. So.
Well, we appreciate it, dude. You are as well, so thank you.
I try to be. I don't like a lot of people. Like, once again, I apologize if I came across as harsh. I just like challenging topics because that's how you learn, to be fair.
Hey, that's where we exist. That's fine.
Enough, but I will say I do appreciate that you were very understanding and didn't just jump straight to, this guy's a fucking idiot, he doesn't know anything, but you took the time to explain it. And I really appreciate that.
All right.
No, we appreciate that.
I'll see you guys later.
Take care, man.
Have a good one, bro.
That's right, I'm here.
Juan Manuel? Just the facts, man?
I endorse Radwin.
boudy04, what's up? Estelle?
Hello.
How you doing, man?
Nice. Good.
Good. What brings you by the Flat Earth channel?
I thought it was ironic, so I wanted to enter to see if you truly believe the Earth is flat, guys.
Yeah, well, it's not really a belief as such, because it's just what we fundamentally experience every day, right? When you go down to the beach, you see the horizon. It's a flat horizon, and you don't detect any motion of the Earth's surface unless you're in an earthquake or something. So you experience a flat, motionless Earth. That doesn't require belief. What requires belief is to then say it's actually a big spinning ball because I was shown images by some government agencies.
The crazy part is, there is a diameter curvature to the Earth, and it has been proven since ancient Greece.
That's what we're looking for. So who's measured that?
I have some visuals to follow along with.
Who measured that?
Yeah, you're saying there's a curve of the surface?
Pharaoh in Egypt once, they noticed that the Nile River would go down an inch at its base in Egypt. And every single day of the year, it would go down that multiple inches, that same depth, and it would repeat. So they noted that down, and what they did is that they stick a pole down in the Nile River,
A
and
pole.
they noticed that at that same a wooden pole, a stick basically, and he noticed that that stick had no shadow.
So they put the stick in the river, and then they were looking at the shadow on the river?
No, they just noticed it. They put the stick to measure the depth of that
The depth.
weird, like I said, dip.
Sorry, who did this? Who did this exactly?
His name.
Yeah, where are you getting this story from?
This has been on parchment, I believe. On
parchment.
Parchment that has been translated. Yes, it is.
Could you link the parchment?
Story.
Could you link the parchment in
We'd
the
like to
text
read
chat?
your parchment. Yeah, I would like to read your parchment.
Because the Egyptians were actually flat earthers, so this is interesting.
It's
they
very interesting
thought the
you
Earth was
say
flat.
that because not only am I Egyptian,
Mhm.
and not only is my mother has a doctorate in.
So you already know then.
So,
You already know the
so
Egyptian
your
cosmology.
brother has a doctorate in something that makes the Earth a
Not my
globe now.
brother, my
Because
mother.
your mother has a doctorate, so that makes
Yes.
Earth a globe
No,
because
it
you
does
put a
not
stick
make
in the
sense.
water. Because you put a stick in the water is what I'm trying to understand.
No.
Put a stick in the water, Earth becomes
What
a
I'm
globe.
saying, good sir, is that people 3,000 years ago figured out it isn't flat, and
Well,
we're
hold on.
discussing this now.
Well, hold
Calm
on.
down,
Putting a stick in the
sir.
One second.
water.
Let me just give you the
Yes, Jedi.
sources
By
you asked
putting a
for.
stick in the water, they noticed that the Earth is a ball by putting a stick in the water.
No, they
Hold
noticed that there was a 7-degree angle on the shadow. The year
Excuse
after,
me?
when they put another one near.
Ah,
Okay, yeah, sure, you can talk.
no, he's talking about Aristosthenes in Egypt. That is a stick in water.
Sure.
I think you might mean a well underneath the sun, where Aristosthenes looked down the well and could see the reflection directly of the sun because the sun was
I'm not sure
directly
about
above
that.
it.
1 second.
I've just posted an image in the chat of the Egyptian cosmology, which is a flat, motionless, contained Earth.
Yeah,
In case
that'll be Nuit in the sky, holding up the heavens.
Yeah, they had a god holding up the sky or being the
It might
physical
be
container.
Aristotle, as you've stated.
Yeah. Sorry, it's just a little bit of miscommunication, buddy. There's a few stories from ancient past that sometimes people get confused. So apologise for that. It's not a stick in water now, is it? We got past that.
It's still
Now,
a 7-degree angle, and still.
Yeah. I get you. So a 7-degree
Give it
angle.
circumference.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we understand that an angle's two straight sides. Right? You understand the distance between the well that's underneath the sun and the stick is a straight line because you're measuring a triangle. The sun, the well underneath the sun, and the stick along the horizontal adjacent distance where you can then measure the solar elevation angle or the shadow length. This is a right angle triangle, dude, that he's used. This doesn't measure curvature of the Earth.
Tell your mother that.
Yeah? Bro, you're being toxic about the discussion. I have not been.
You said your mother has a doctorate, and that means that the Earth is a ball.
Sure, I did not say that. I said that
I think he was.
I have not heard of that resource. You are being extremely vocal about
That's
your
all right.
opinion, and I appreciate that you were communicating here. But I have not said anything to the length that would require you to enter an insulting territory. That's
Okay,
No,
so
no.
we'll
Don't worry
forget
about
that your
it.
mother's got a doctorate.
dude.
We'll forget about that your mother has a doctorate then.
No, treat that topic with respect, please.
All right.
I am
So
treating
you've
your opinion,
understanding.
even though I
Yeah.
find
That's
them
fine. That's
ridiculous
fine.
with
That's
adequate
fine, dude.
respect.
That's
Gentlemen.
fine. It's fine, dude. It's fine. So you've established now that the person who you think might have measured the surface to be a ball was a guy called
I mean,
Eratosthenes.
it's definitely the same principle. That's true.
Okay. So what did he measure exactly?
7-degree angle.
He basically not only the 7-degree angle. He measured the diameter, the beginning of the diameter. Listen,
The diameter of
7
what?
degrees. If you divide the distance that's been measured, the straight
Mhm.
line, call it, which is
500 miles.
not sure exactly. Yeah, 500 miles. If you divide that
Sounds like
by
a calculation to
and
me.
times it to 360, you'd get nearly the exact same circumference.
Of course you would.
That we, with modern science,
Dude.
have confirmed.
No. So this is the magic trick that's happened right before your eyes. The 360 degrees. You understand that he's not measuring the Earth as a curved surface. He's presupposing that the Earth is already a sphere in his example, and he can use the calculations to figure out its radius, diameter, and circumference. But that's not what he's measuring. He already thinks the Earth is a sphere within his example. He already presumes the light rays from the sun are parallel within his example. But what he actually does is take an elevation angle measurement to the sun from a horizontal plane.
Yes.
This is magic, dude. It's mathematics.
Yeah. So
if he sorry, Cyclone, I'll be very quick. If he thinks that the Earth is already a sphere and has 360 degrees within his calculations, I can use that same math, measure the elevation angle of the light in my ceiling, and my kitchen is now curved. You understand?
No, the part is that
Sorry.
the very interesting thing that's happened here is that, and that's the element that I think even enabled the assumption, is that one of the sticks that were stuck in the sand had no shadow, which means
it was it was underneath the sun. Dude.
Would then be presumed that it has been falling exactly parallel to that point.
Dude, this is why I gave the example of the well. It's like you standing underneath a light, right?
Yes.
Now, as you walk away from underneath that light and turn around, you can put a stick in the floor and you can measure a shadow because you're no longer underneath that light. He moved apparently 500 miles from being directly underneath the sun at his zenith in the summer. You can do the same thing in your kitchen, but if you presume the 360 degrees, you can turn your kitchen surface into a curved one, fitting with a radius.
The problem is that it would be, if you presume that, you see, it would work because I think what you're presuming is there's a light in the kitchen. We put directly under the light a stick, which would have no shadow, presumably. And then we would look like, I don't know, 5 steps and put another stick and then see the shadow, the other stick, which has been moved from the center. And that shadow would then be, our new circumference and measure a circle. Is that correct?
Yeah, but all of a sudden we're already superimposing the idea as already a sphere, which I pointed out 2 minutes ago. You can use the same math and turn a flat surface into a curved one. Does that mean that the surface is actually curved at all?
If you assume, you see, science is based on assumptions.
No,
seriously. Look,
excuse me. Sorry, I don't want to be rude.
Right,
my friend, we're not doing
You know how we proved it.
Excuse me, we're not doing science here. Why'd you bring it up?
And that's geometry.
And what if his assumptions were wrong?
I'm just explaining why he did this. No,
I'm asking you. I'm asking you honestly. Please answer this question honestly. What if his assumptions were wrong?
They could be. Why won't they be?
Okay. There we go. That's good.
Yeah, they are wrong. Yeah, they are wrong. And what you've just demonstrated with that example is an elevation angle. Hold on. It's an elevation angle measurement, and you've got a 500-mile horizontal baseline. That wouldn't be a globe. That would be a flat surface. So yeah, that's not a measurement. That's not a measurement of the curve.
Make my point that if it's a flat surface, truly, the shadow would have been much longer than 7 degrees.
Prove it.
Sorry, no.
No, you can prove it in your kitchen. We just talked about this.
Excuse me, no. You're just wrong. You're now saying it would be a different angle measurement. How do you know?
No, I'm
That
not
would
saying
depend on the light source.
That
would be dependent on the light.
That would be longer.
Hold on, dude. We've got academic papers on this. This isn't disputed. This is acknowledged by the Globe side. So people in the chat can post you the papers, and you can move on to your next argument, because that's not a measurement of the Earth's curve. So who did measure it?
That's not you outright believe that Socrates' measurements are completely wrong.
Well, you said he measured an angle. That's not Earth curvature.
No.
So who measured Earth's curvature? That's what we're asking. And not assuming it in calculation, actually measuring it. A drop over distance.
I have a question really quick. I noticed he mentioned Pythagorean theorem. Do you know what a triangle is?
A triangle is three-sided with straight lines, correct?
All right, NASA IQ test coming up.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and post something in the chat for you. See if you can answer this question. You see it?
C, I guess.
Well, hold on. Let's present it first, and then you can answer. So someone read it out, and then you can answer, and then we'll discuss it.
The figure below are not triangles? Is that
correct? Correct.
So which of the figures are not triangles?
I guess B and D.
Interesting. Let's look at the answer. B and D is correct. So you know what a triangle is.
No, I'm just kidding.
So you know what a triangle is. So now we're going to test some fun stuff. Now, do you know what an elevation angle is?
Elevation angle, that would be the... No, I'm not sure. I don't think I do. Like, I would not mind revising that information.
Elevation angle is an angle taken upwards from a horizontal.
Upwards from a horizontal?
Yeah, elevation means upwards angle. So, like you described, intersection of two straight sides, an elevation angle is an angle upwards from a horizontal. Horizontal being perpendicular 90 degrees to vertical. Right?
And for angles, we have to be using triangles.
Straight sides.
So, Radwin, do you want to follow up with another question? Because, let's see. Do you understand what an elevation angle is now?
Yes, I suppose.
Okay, Radwin.
Oh, at this point, Jedi could take over because I've got images to go ahead and show. I want to just keep up.
Show the image. Show the images and then go through.
So we're going to look at, since we know that you need a flat baseline to do like a protractor, this would give you an elevation angle on this, wouldn't it be? Wouldn't that be 60 degrees on this, sir?
I mean, 180 degrees is exactly half. 360.
C, B to C, B to C, B or B, CBA.
CBA, yes. What about it?
That would be an angle, right, of 60 degrees?
I mean, I suppose, yeah.
Oh, no, it would be if you've ever used a protractor before. Do you think you can do this on a ball? Do you think you can get an angle on the surface of a ball like this?
No, you'd have to cut it into a circle.
So basically what you're saying is you cannot have an angle on the surface of a ball.
No, you can reverse engineer it. Like,
no, you can't. You need to have something to start with.
That protractor, you use that protractor, that exact protractor. For example,
measuring angle,
grab a ball of its diameter. You would simply stick it in.
My friend, you started off by saying he measured an angle. We're pointing out to you what an angle is. right? Angles
doesn't
two
work on the
straight
ball.
sides that meet at a vertex. We pointed out to you earlier that when you're taking the shadow length of the sun, this is a. Excuse me. Excuse me. I'm trying not to interrupt you. I prefer it if you didn't interrupt me. I think that you have a failing to understand, so I'm trying to help you. Cool. When we measure the shadow length, that's a solar elevation angle. The 7 degrees at the top of the stick, you subtract that 7 degrees from 90, you get the other angle. Because the other one at the bottom of the stick's 90 degrees. It's a stick, vertical meeting a horizontal at 90 degrees. You've measured the 7-degree angle at the top of the stick. Like I said, take the 7 away from 90. You're going to get 83. The elevation angle of the sun's 83 degrees. It's a flat Earth measurement, dude. If you understood what an angle was, and you did, you defined what an angle and a triangle were. Straight sides.
Would you now... Can I get back to a protractor real quick? We all agree that these are angles.
Yes.
Right? No one would simply say that these angles aren't true, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Simply, if you grab the point B and grab it horizontally from point A, these points to its 90 degrees in that same picture you sent, imagine it. That would be a triangle if you clipped it right there.
Yes.
But there's a curvature if you've noticed from
where
we're assuming then you C to A.
No, they're straight lines. They're straight lines.
They're straight lines that connect to a point.
Yeah, not a curve. Not a curved line.
Shape.
No, not a curved line. No, they make straight lines.
No,
the horizontal is the baseline.
Straight lines.
So the horizontal that you're measuring, your elevation angle from, that's a horizontal.
Exactly. Now.
Exactly. So the 500 miles. The 500 miles. Hold on. In your Eratosthenes example, what is your horizontal line? That's the distance between your two locations, isn't it? Yeah, the well and the stick. That's 500 miles, yeah?
That would not be the horizontal line. That would be the circumference of this protractor.
It's 483 miles, actually.
Yeah, it's 500 stadia or something they say, isn't it?
Yeah, but precisely 480 degrees. If the solar elevation angle is 83 degrees... Dude, if the solar elevation angle is 83 degrees, you subtract that from 7... Right, if you multiply these distances, you get a distance of 483 miles. Straight line distance between the well and the stick. 500 stadia.
What I'm trying to say that happened here is that C, you see how C, in the example of protractor, penetrates all the way to the midpoint, but C, there is a portion of it outside of the protractor. Imagine the stick being that. And then imagine A and C being 2 points upon those sticks. Now
he thinks the arc of the protractor is the arc. So
he thinks that's the shell of the earth, the curved shell of the earth.
I am drawing a comparison here. I'm trying to make you understand, people.
We're trying to help you to understand, dude. You're not teaching us anything, dude.
You don't have a center of Earth to use, so.
Dude, you were talking about them sticking us.
Even my English is good enough for this.
It's not a problem with your English, dude. It's not a problem with your English. It's a problem with you not understanding the topic that you're trying to argue for. Because you remember, you thought they stuck a stick in the Nile River and were doing something. You've only learned about this like 10 minutes ago, and you're trying to argue it as if you're an expert.
Oh no, not minutes.
We're the ones who have actually looked into this. So we're trying to teach you. So you're not.
This has been
trying
years.
to teach us.
This has been years going on. It can't
so yes, it simply is the case that the Earth is not
by all of humanity.
No, because remember, we asked for a measurement and you just didn't give us one. You just gave us an example of a flat Earth elevation angle.
I'm just trying to logic it.
No, we don't want. No, you're not using logic. You're not using logic.
Take a shadow, and that shadow angle would be equivalent to the elevation.
Dude, it's not a question of logic.
absurd.
It's a question of giving us the drop over distance, dude.
Assumptions.
Just give us the drop over distance, right? There's a curvature.
No,
Who's measured
you have that. You simply do not acknowledge it.
Who measured it,
friend,
dude?
Believe that.
Dude, who
friend,
measured it?
How about all the videos that simply put a wooden wall and a hole in it and try
Okay.
There it is.
if that hole
Okay.
would pass through to the other
Okay,
side.
so who did that?
All these videos that seem to be
Okay.
proving the Earth is flat and simply
Are you
building.
sure?
How
Are you sure about that? No, that video that you're talking about actually debunks the globe as well, because the height that he's supposed to be at is supposed to be hidden by the curve. He shouldn't have been able to see the light at all. So actually, that debunks the globe as well. It's almost as if you were fooled by Netflix.
Directly. Oh my god.
It's almost as if you were fooled by mainstream pop entertainment.
Oh, he
Yeah,
likes
another one.
Netflix movies. Oh, I didn't know he
He
was
likes
a movie buff.
Netflix.
He's a movie
Yeah.
buff.
He's got an IMDb account.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm even. You know what I'm sorry about? I'm sorry for trying to even talk about this topic with you.
I know. It's painful. It's painful.
I'm sure
But it's true, dude. Just look into it. It's okay, dude. Just go away and have a look for that Earth curve
All I did
measurement.
was ask you what a triangle was, if you knew what a triangle was, and you're all upset now.
I'm not upset
But
about
yeah, you used to know what a triangle was.
Oh yeah, I still do. You just don't want to hear what I'm saying.
So the Earth is flat then.
From C to A. From C to A.
Right, Earth is flat then.
Oh my god. No, oh my god, you simply.
Well, the triangle's straight sides. The triangle's straight sides, so it's you that doesn't understand, apparently.
Well, he did understand. Now he doesn't understand.
Yeah,
I
now
don't
he
get what
doesn't
happened.
understand.
What happened in 30 seconds that made him not understand?
Measuring to the. We're reversing.
Remember you said the assumptions could be wrong?
It's easier to leave you this way than trying to explain it to you guys. No, seriously. Like that even has it.
No,
It has
buddy.
what I'm talking
No,
about.
buddy.
It's all right,
No,
bro.
buddy. Listen,
You'll be okay.
Even you said yourself that the assumptions could be wrong. So therefore, for this to be an accurate or somewhat accurate measurement, right, of a sphere, right, and gain its calculated circumference, you would need to establish your assumptions to be true either before or after the fact. So you need the assumptions that the Earth is a sphere to be.
So I'm quite curious.
Otherwise, you're affirming the consequent. It's not logical.
How do you think the water is staying on the Earth then? And what about the telescopes that you can see the planets that are spheres?
What do you expect water to do?
Yeah, where's water supposed to be going, dude? Where's water supposed to be going?
Of the edge, if there's an edge, it's flat.
Oh, dude, yeah, you didn't hear this. Space is fake, dude. It's not flying off into space. It's fake. Fake space. All fake. Fake, fake, fake.
Oh, so stars and spheres are fake.
No, I see stars. Stars aren't gas balls. I don't know who told you that weird story.
Oh, stars aren't gas balls. Okay.
Yeah, you can't have a ball of gas in a vacuum, can you?
You can?
You can. Could you show us?
What?
Show us, please.
What do you mean, show us?
So get a vacuum chamber. Get a vacuum chamber. Oh, right. So you can't demonstrate it. So it's just a belief.
I guess. What about
Okay, so it's just like a religious. So it's just.
That have
So it's just. Okay, dude.
How do you
it's just
zero gravity videos?
All right. So it's just like a belief then. You can't actually demonstrate this happening. Because in reality, when you put gas in a vacuum chamber.
Space should be sufficient.
So what happens when you put gas in a vacuum on Earth?
It does not become a vacuum because it does not have mass.
So it just fills the available volume. It just fills the available volume then.
What?
Yeah, so it doesn't coalesce into a ball. It just fills the available space. Yeah.
I mean, yes.
Yes, but you're saying in your imagination you can imagine that not happening and it forming a ball.
You're absolutely abstracting the concept of Earth's gravity.
Okay, so where can you show us this gas forming into a ball in a vacuum then?
Very easy. Anything.
Okay, could you show me a video of someone forming a ball of gas in a vacuum then?
No, I can show in space. Gas is
Oh,
transparent.
in space. That's what you're trying to argue for. No, that's what you're trying to prove, dude.
Yes,
That's what you're trying to prove.
Not in space.
No. That's not a ball of gas. That's not a ball of gas in a vacuum, dude.
That's a ball of liquid, and that's
No, but we're looking for a ball of gas in a vacuum. That's what you're trying to claim.
Gas is transparent. How can you visualize it?
You get colored gas or something. I don't know. You tell me.
That things forming into a pole equals to gravity.
Okay, so if it can be demonstrated, why do you believe it?
It can't.
I went ahead and posted a demonstration for you with colored gas. Yeah, I went ahead and posted that for you, so you can see what it looks like. Since you said you can't see gas, I went ahead and posted one for you that you can see.
Well, that's interesting because if gas is transparent and it can't be seen, how are you seeing Jupiter?
Ooh, that hurts.
Oh, that's different types of gases too.
Oh, special pleading then.
So we could get a gas that you could see. Okay, so show me the Jupiter-like gases that you could form into a ball in a vacuum, so that we know your story is even possible.
I mean, it would be very, very dangerous to make a vacuum in space, and you cannot have gravity to make a ball into a gas. Something.
So in reality,
react directly and fast enough with the gases in the air. Like
okay, so the idea of a gas ball forming into a ball in a vacuum is just an idea. It's just an imagined concept. It's just a concept that you have to imagine.
What do you believe gases are if they're not basically freer moving liquids?
Well,
little tiny bouncing ping pong balls. That's what I imagine. What do you imagine?
Liquids aren't that? You think liquids aren't that?
No, we're not talking about liquids, dude.
No,
we're talking about gas.
Liquids. Liquids are not. Liquids are not gases.
Yeah, you're claiming we've got a ball of gas here in a vacuum of space, but you can't demonstrate a ball of gas.
You're
in
mistaken.
a vacuum.
Fluid dynamics, which is gases and liquids.
Yes, exactly. Fluid dynamics.
That's not gases are liquids. So don't say that. No, you sound stupid.
No, not gases are liquids. I'm not saying those are.
Okay, so so nothing. So gases are not liquids. Correct.
Throw similarities.
Do you think? Are you arguing that you can have a ball of? Are you claiming you could have a ball of water in a vacuum chamber? You're arguing for a ball of water now in a vacuum chamber?
Yes. Not in a.
Okay, show me that.
Not in a vacuum chamber, but in space, because that.
Space is like three. What is it?
Space is a vacuum, isn't it? Hold on. Space is supposed to be a vacuum.
The gas around you.
No, but you can't do the ball of gas, remember? You already admitted that. Well, now we're on to the liquid. Because you think it's a ball of gas and liquid.
Because you have air in space. You are not listening to what I am saying.
No, space is supposed to be a vacuum, isn't it?
Oh, yes, 10 to the minus 17 torr. 10 to the minus 17 torr.
Yeah, so space is supposed to be a vacuum. So you can make a vacuum.
How will you breathe?
So how are you gonna have a ball of gas or water?
How are you?
Hold on, dude. Just answer me this. How are you gonna have a ball of gas or water in a vacuum?
That's why Egypt doesn't have a space program. They tried to breathe in a vacuum, and they figured out that you just pop.
So how can you have a ball of gas or a ball of water in a vacuum? You can't. Space is fake.
A vacuum?
Yeah, the vacuum of space? You never heard of the vacuum of space? Is that what you're going to say now?
So what you're saying is, let me get this straight. Vacuum exists. Zero gravity.
Of course it does.
On Earth?
Negative.
Sure. Not at space, not around the Earth. There's not a vacuum around the Earth, no.
No, zero G does not exist. Falling with an object exists.
So you think astronauts are falling with an object? What about
that's studio. That's hanging by wires and shit. Yeah, that's just the studio stuff. That's nothing to do with outer space. We're not going to talk about movies.
You can hang liquids by wire? That's advanced technology.
I have pictures of liquids sitting
never
flat in the
knew.
ISS in a glass. Should liquids sit flat in the ISS in a glass? Should they just sit there?
In a glass? The astronaut drinks it out of thin air. How's that in a glass?
All right, let's find out. You're the one who makes all these fancy claims. Let's make you look
Fancy
foolish
claims?
again. Let's make you look foolish again.
I just
Now
made a video.
let's look at the Chinese doing tricks,
By the way,
magic
you
tricks
never
in
made me look
space.
foolish. You've
Yes,
thrown
so far I
nonsense
have every
into
single
me.
time. So pay attention.
No, so far you've
So
insulted
far,
me
pay
every single
attention.
time.
There's a
Because
glass
you
of
could not
water sitting in
feel
the
satisfied
ISS,
enough.
and they're supposed to be in quote 0G. And why is that glass of water flat on top?
I'm pretty sure that's just a demonstration. Besides, there's another logical explanation for why that would happen, because glass has friction, water in the glass, friction, it stays in. Basically.
Gotcha.
It's a different concept.
I
And space is
gotcha, I
weird,
guess. Yeah, I guess you could just leave open containers of water floating around millions of dollars worth of equipment all the time, even though in reality, if you did that, you would get fired.
Hey, dude. So looking at this photo, are those people in space according to you?
I wouldn't know, but if they are, how are they even?
Well, how don't you know? Look, they're on the space station, aren't they?
I don't trust that source because you
don't trust it. Do you think that's a bunch of flat earthers dressed up as astronauts and made up a little stage to trick you? Maybe. Well, maybe now you'll use some of this critical thinking to actually challenge the cartoons you've been fed since you were a child. And you'll take this on and you'll figure out that you don't live on a cartoon spinning ball in a vacuum.
Cyclone, I went ahead and posted a guy floating by a cable in the background. He's got a cable hanging off his ass. Do you see the guy in the back? Do you see the guy floating in the back? Hey, pay attention.
Walls of ice?
Pay attention.
I'm not paying attention to you, by the way.
Yeah, I know, because you don't. Do you see the guy floating in the back by a cable hanging by his ass?
You are very loud
What do you
and
think
very
of that?
rude. You do not know how to be.
Radwin, I think that's some flat earthers again who've staged the ISS and the harness equipment just to fool
at somebody's house.
The globe believers. They're just trying to trick poor victims like Boudy here. He's falling victim to the flat Earth propaganda. That's flat Earth propaganda right there. This is the flat Earth society up to their usual tricks.
I think 4 a.m. is like enough time to stay awake. Good night, or whatever you believe is happening.
Sweet dreams. Dream about NASA hanging by wires. NASA employees hanging by wires in a studio.
Yeah, dude, the sun is still in the sky above the Earth. The sun is not below your feet. Have a good sleep.
No, it's dark here. How can it be dark if it's
yes, because the sun has moved away. The sun's moved away from you. Do you notice the sun moved?
It sounds like CB.
Do you know that the sun is going to come back again? Or do you guys pray to the sun, hopefully it comes back every day? I know it's just going to come back.
I think that was about Boody's capacity, but it was a good effort. Let's get a golf clap in the chat. Who's next? There we go. Thank you.
Should be easy, right?
I mean, they feed this stuff in like syllabuses in school and stuff like that. I remember we had to write, I think, 3 points as to why the Earth is a sphere. And I remember clearly the one where they were saying the mast of the ship disappears or appears on the horizon when it gets distant or like closer. But all in all, everything is a draw up of stuff that is conjecture, because you have to put like what you see and feel and believe into perspective. When we look at the sun, it looks round. That's something you cannot deny.
Yep.
But nobody has seen the Earth itself. We're literally on it, and whichever direction we go, Well, there's land and then there's water. So the map is just something we've been given to say, this is what it looks like. But I can hand you any paper and picture to say this exists. I mean, it's just a drawing. It doesn't mean that it actually does exist. Cartographers had their own challenges, and just the fact that they keep discovering new stuff and making